Hi, and thank you for joining me for this edition of Love Your Work. This is my opportunity to share with you people who are doing work that they love and to share some of the lessons that they've learned along their journey. I'm Whitney Wiley, and today I have with me Teresa Pedigo. Teresa, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. It's an honor to be here today with
Oh, thank you so much. It is my honor to have you. And so we're going to talk about your work that you're doing right now as a financial strategist, but we're also going to take a little trip down memory lane and look at some of the things that you've done along the way. And so why don't we start with you sharing with us what is a financial strategist and what is it that you actually do in your work?
you. Okay. Well, most business owners, they get to do what they do and go into business because of the skill that they have. Okay. The knowledge they want to be their own boss, right? But
Yes.
they may not know the business aspect of that. So, like you could have a lawyer that goes to law school, passes the bar, goes, hangs his shingle, right? He's ready to practice,
Yes.
but has no clue about the business. Or somebody that worked.
I was that lawyer.
I did mean now.
It's okay. It's okay. I think that's the way it works. I think that's the way it works. You're supposed to go, and then someone's supposed to come along and help you figure it out.
That,
Hopefully.
that's right. That's right. Or, it could be a trade. Like I'm thinking of an auto body specialist. So somebody that's doing that and they know that they're really good. And so they want to go, they get a building. They're like, okay, I'm in business, but there's a lot more to doing that business than
Right.
just their skill set. And so I work with business owners to get them through a structured process, to get goals set, to create, that path or that plan to help them scale their business and grow. So that's really what it's all about. And then I have heavy concentration. I'll call myself the educator of the financials.
I love it. I love it. So, how did you get involved in this work?
Well, I from let's go way back into when I was born as a no as a little girl. Yeah, okay. My dad was an entrepreneur. He was a farmer.
Okay.
So there was a lot of financial planning and things that had to go on with that, and I think I absorbed a lot of it, and I knew that I wanted to get into business and thought that I was going to be into banking, and so I kind of started in down that route, but financials, it always stuck in my head when I was trying to decide what I was going to major in. I didn't want to just debit and credit like an accountant. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to analyze the numbers and see what they meant and then make the best decisions, based on that. Because that's kind of how I live my life is if you're trying to decide on something that has numbers associated with it, put the numbers down and they will speak to you.
I
So
like that. Because most people don't like numbers, right? And they're afraid of math and things like that. So I
there,
I'm another one of those weird ones. I loved math. I wasn't so fond on the financial stuff in accounting and that, but weird with the liking numbers.
well, it's I find that a lot of the owners and prospects, that I talk to, they get intimidated because
Yeah.
they don't know. So someone will either say, yeah, I don't look at my statements, or anything monthly. I have a CPA, or a bookkeeper that does it for me.
Right.
Okay, that's great, but I've got to say that what a CPA does and what I do are two different things. We work together, but we're into two different things. Or I'll ask, is there enough money to cover payroll and to pay me? Can I cash my check? And that's really all I need to know about it.
Right.
So, but the reason I found that they're really feeling that way is because the financial reports, they're not created in a way that they can understand them.
Okay.
So the chart of accounts, whether you're using QuickBooks, which is, my favorite and my love, or any other accounting system, you can decide like income. Do I want one line of income or do I do three things and have three lines of income? How can I break down my expenses? So I know what exactly I'm, spending against what I'm making.
Right.
So if we can sit there together and kind of break those down and they create them, it just gives them a sense of empowerment, right? Because they know now, they
Right,
can
right.
look at those. And without that, I say you really can't make the best business decisions for your business.
And I was going to ask you, and does having that knowledge help them? And you said make good decisions, but does it help them also feel more connected to their business because they understand where the money is going, where it's coming from? And I'm imagining that then in making those decisions, that it helps them to figure out how they can look at it more as like funding a vision than just, making payroll, right?
Exactly, exactly. There's just an empowerment. So watching that transformation process, in that business owner, because I've worked with them that have said, hey, if I can cash my paycheck, I'm okay. And I really don't like the numbers, Teresa. And we work together, and 4 years later, I can sit with that
Mm.
is two business owners together, and I can sit there and she can just confidently say, well, I would like our salaries to increase by this much this year. So that means we have to take in this much in services, and we have to take this much. And she's running that calculator, and I just kind of sit back and I do this. And the other owner says, you're having a proud parent moment, aren't you? And I said, yes, I am, because 4 years ago, you could have never
Right.
said, what you said. But just look at now, you are so empowered to know what you have to go after and get, you know, in order to get what you want out of your business. So you are working on the business. We always say it's better to work on than in.
Yes, yes. And is that what you love about what you're doing, to kind of that aha moment, and that continued growth of the business owner, a- as an owner, and not just, someone who is like doing one thing after the other.
Exactly. It's that transformation process is what really gets to me. I get goosebumps, seriously, sitting here talking about it, right now, because I do. I sit as a proud moment. I sit back and listen to them, when they really tell their story, of, well, I've worked with businesses. I don't just work with ones that, have issues or problems, right? I'm working with ones that are scaling and wanting to grow. But hey, I had a really good business. I didn't, we were growing, quite nicely. I wanted to tweak a few things. We bought Teresa in, and now it's like, we have this many people and we're making this much money. And that wasn't even a thought, to them. So yeah, watching them, it's just like planting seeds, watching it grow.
So in your growth, in your journey in being this strategist, was that what you were envisioning at the beginning, or I get that you weren't interested in, like being a CPA and kind of the just handling the numbers, but analyzing and really digging into it? Was it your thought and your vision that you were going to help these business owners make this transformation, or is that something that you started to see happening and you're like, oh, hey, this is a place where I can really make a difference, and so I'm going to build my business around doing it this way?
It's really interesting, because I guess a little bit of both. That
Okay.
I spent 23 years in the corporate, in the financial services industry, and they always say that entrepreneurs, you get corporate battered syndrome, or you're a square peg that's trying to get in that round hole,
Right.
because you just don't fit. And so, we have to come out and we have to be, entrepreneurs. And so it came out and I said, I want to run a business. And so I was talking with my father, and he's like, what do you know how to do? You've worked in banking. So what are you going to do? And I said, I just need to find something that I'm passionate about, because I don't need to be an expert in a business that I buy or start, because I know business. So here that unfolded, that, I was looking at businesses and I wasn't really finding anything. So then I decided, okay, let's look at franchises. And so at the end of 2014, I purchased an AvaCoach business coaching
Okay.
franchise. So here I am, that's what I'm doing. I'm coaching through that. And then in in 2019, in the beginning, I decided to expand, and more and do consulting where there's more of the financials. So I've kind of flipped by me saying, that I could buy that business, and I knew business, I would learn, with this because of my passion. So I'm putting it back into, let me give it to the people who know the business.
Okay.
I'm sorry, know the skill, right? And have the business, and I teach them the business. I'm their business degree.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I'll
And
say.
and do you find then that, and that's interesting you would say that, do you find then that people who are in business, maybe who have a degree or some particular way that they thought that they were going to run their business, are easier or more challenging to work with in terms of getting them to see the opportunities for growth, and you bringing a strategy piece or a coaching piece to your relationship with them?
Great question. Great question. I will say that I like the ones who maybe have a little bit of more experience, because I know that I can take them farther.
Okay.
I don't normally work with startups
Okay.
unless I have somebody who they know business and they've been in business before, and this is a new startup, they want to maybe scale quickly. But what's fun is you get the people, like of what you're saying, that they're in their business, right, and they're working on it for a few years. But we all know that as business owners, we get blinders.
Yes.
On I think is it scotomas? I think
Yes.
is the word, right, for our blinders. I get them. I mean, I get amazed, when I talk to my coach about that. So it's sometimes it's very heartwarming that you get them to, hey, take those blinders off. Did you think about this?
Yeah.
What about that? And just having them have an aha or a maybe that's something I should consider. Because I know when I started, the Avocoach franchise with my coach that I had through there, I would ask him and I'd go, gosh, why didn't I think of that? That just seemed so obvious now after you said it, but my blinders didn't let me see it.
And that's the beauty of having a coach too, right? And
Right.
the whole point is that you have someone who's walking alongside you who will be able to see things that you don't see or can't see in the moment to help you get to that point. And then you're able to grow and
Right.
do some other things that you want to do. So awesome. So let's take that trip down memory lane.
Okay.
So when you got your first job, that maybe wasn't a babysitting job, what was the first job that you ever had?
Well, walking beans was officially the first job as a farmer's daughter. Most people would not know that you had to walk beans because we did not have the herbicide that we have, today.
Okay, you'll have to explain. I think I understand what that means, but you'll have to explain walk beans.
Well, these are soybeans, not green beans. Because many
Okay.
people ask if I was, working. So soybeans. So I'd walk with my parents, and you would go down with a hoe, or when I got old enough, I could have a weed hook.
Okay.
You're taking all of the weeds out of the field. So I had to figure out, dad was really teaching me about how much he was going to pay me per hour. And I had to do a timesheet. I had to submit my timesheet. Okay. So really that was kind of my first, he was making me responsible. And then when I got my money, it was mine to manage. So that's kind of, how he really got me started and appreciated. There's a story that I was at JCPenney's, and there was this awesome stuffed dog. And I was it was a stuffed animal, and I'm like, oh, I want this. And I can't remember how much it was, maybe $5, we'll say. And so I said, Dad, he owed me money. So I said, could I have to purchase the dog? And he goes, now, do you want this? Do you want to make this purchase? Because that $5 is gone, as soon as you do it. And I'm like, really want it, Dad, really want it, So I got it. And that dog, stayed with me all the way through college to remind me of that moment that you need to decide.
Yeah.
Right? When you've worked hard, because let me tell you, walking in 100-degree heat, you have to start at 6:30 in the morning. So you're in wet beans up, up, and I was short. So it's like, up above my waist. Yes. When you work that hard, that was a few hours for that dog back then for what I got paid. So yeah, so that got me into that. And then, if we say real job to where I got a paycheck, I went to work for the farmer down the street, and he had a hog farm, farmland, had a trucking business, and we were opening a grain dryer business. So I was helping with all the parts and everything for that. So
your dad, in your job with your dad, helped to teach you about responsibility and an early lesson in finance, right? And
yeah.
analyzing things. What did you learn working for the hog farmer down the road?
Oh, this was payroll by hand, sales tax reports by hand. So all of that into the timing, really managing those different businesses, was very, very difficult, trying to keep the books straight, for all of those. I did have a lot of, customer service that, we'd get people calling in for parts, and I would have to take them to the airport for them to get flown out. The people would come in with their private jets just to get them. So yeah, I just learned so very much that that was back when I was, I think, between 16 and 21 that I went there. So that young, I didn't realize how much I was taking in. What an awesome opportunity that I had to do all that at that young of age.
And did you went to college and then went in a different direction? Was there something that you learned in those experiences working on the farm that said to you, I don't want to, maybe you enjoyed it, maybe you didn't, you can share, but that said, farming isn't for me and I want to do something else?
Yeah, I think Dad probably said farming, is not for you. Okay. that was probably the start from the beginning. And then when I got into school, of course, everybody asks you, right, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I had an uncle who was a teacher, fifth grade teacher, and he was the principal for our grade school. So I was like, I that's what I want to be, I want to be a teacher. And as I went through and kept getting older, the teachers go, no, you don't, Teresa. You want to go into business because being a teacher, you won't make much money, but you're good with math. So they started telling me what I was going to do,
right,
and driving me towards that business. But then I laugh, because what I do all the way through my corporate career, I was doing training and teaching. And now, within my own company, that's what I'm doing. I'm educating.
And that's one of those things that we can have something that's a calling on us, or something that touches us that we feel like we should be doing or could be doing, right?
Right.
Other people's influence will move us in a different direction, but if it really is for you, you'll come back to it. And maybe it's not, and for you, it wasn't about teaching in a traditional school setting, right? But the part of you that was about teaching, that was attracted to that, that's still a part of you. And it's something that you get to do now.
Yeah. So kind of married the two of them together.
Yeah.
It's like teaching and business. Yeah.
And that's one of those things that I think it's important for our audience to understand, is that you can exercise the calling of whatever it is that's sort of a natural interest, a natural talent, a natural gift, and then marry it with other things along the way. Or if you look at what you're doing, even if you're doing something that you don't like, that sometimes a part of that is in what you're doing, right?
And I think that's why I stayed in corporate so long, as I was getting, from the educational part, that's what was holding, me there, but I was really not liking this much. That's where the star pig.
What was the part of corporate that didn't resonate so much with you?
I think I was doing compliance and audit.
Mm,
Okay,
okay,
so
I can understand that.
so you're very very black and white,
Yeah,
but I was a bank examiner too, so I could see gray and kind of know. Um, but it was very unappreciative unless you were getting the bank, let's say, or the mortgage company out of trouble. Then my position was very, I was very wanted, but otherwise it's kind of like go sit in the corner. So a lot of times it was hard to affect change.
right.
If you knew things were going on around you that were wrong, and I have very high integrity. I mean, that's what I put in myself, and so it's like I don't want to be part of
Right.
skirting around the issue. So the more I got going, and I will say DoddFrank was probably the end of me, in banking, because it was making it very very difficult. So I wasn't liking that anymore. They were like, we want you to sign off on this and say that this is okay for us to do, and I'm like, no, you get paid for this. That's not what I get paid for. And I always looked at myself, which I realized afterwards, I looked at myself as it was my reputation. Even
Right.
though I worked for that place, I knew that those examiners that were around, they knew me. And so if I signed off on something that, was totally wrong, or was iffy, they'd be questioning me.
Right.
So it
Right.
was, it was about me more than it was the company. So I think that was the calling. It's like, you need to have your own business rather than trying to fit in somebody else's.
That makes such a good point. And I was going to ask you, you're in corporate, probably in the time of Enron, right? And some of
Yeah.
the other, and you're in compliance and auditing, and that stuff is going on. And I know it's not limited to that time frame or those couple of companies. And there are still issues, although they've tried to, legislation has tried to tighten that up.
Mhm.
But you're absolutely right. When your personal integrity is on the line, you have to ask some questions, your values, right? You
Right.
have to ask some questions about whether or not what you're doing is what you should be doing, or if you could take those same skills, your same passion for
Mhm.
business and teaching and other things, and put them somewhere else. And so I love that you recognized that and said, I'll go into business for myself,
Exactly.
especially having an example of a father who had done the same thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I would come and of course, share all my frustration, and he'd just say, "Boy, I'm glad I never had to work for anybody." I'm like, "That's not helping,"
But
but
it was helping in the end.
I guess he was planting, more seeds. But
Exactly.
I would say that I get so frustrated, and one of his biggest things that I probably remember the most is, "You can't push a rope, Teresa. You can't push a rope." So it was like, okay, for me to kind of take back, I could only have control over so much when it wasn't my business.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so in the transition from working for someone else to working for yourself,
Mhm.
what was the most challenging part of that transition for you?
Knowing that a paycheck was not going to be delivered every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That, yeah, I mean, you give up your security for your flexibility, and but yeah, I think that was the hardest thing, of knowing, okay, I have to kill what I eat, right? And so yeah, throwing yourself into that, and keep going, because it wasn't going to grow. I mean, in a coaching or consulting business,
Mhm.
unless you're coming out, from that work, and you're taking clients, or something, or building clients. Yeah, you're starting. So I was the farmer, planting those seeds and fertilizing them and watering them, and waiting until I would, enough people would feel confident, in me,
Right.
that I could really, help them. So I guess I had to earn that, trust and respect, because I didn't realize I had been in this, like I said, in this financial services industry bubble, right?
Right.
Where especially in banking, you know everybody. Everybody knows everybody because you end up switching banks, right? So I came out here into a world of all these new people I didn't even know existed. It's like now I'm working with this whole new group. So they didn't know me. They didn't know who I was. The reputation wasn't there yet.
Right, right.
So
Until you just said that, I hadn't thought of it that way. And I had the same thing a couple of years ago in the transition and now my whole world is the people that are in the new world, right? And I have some friends from the old world, but it really is like a whole new world.
It is. It is. I mean, I just couldn't believe that. I just kept going in the circles, and I just, all these other people, these great people that are now in my world, and I could still have girls' night.
Right.
I still go out with girls' night from the past jobs.
Exactly. So I want to ask you this as we start to wrap up. Aside from the client ahas, you talked about a little bit of the challenge in the transition. What has been one of the greatest benefits of the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, aside from the client relationship piece?
Just pure happiness. I mean, pure happiness that I know that the job that I'm going to do or the people that I'm going to meet and impact, influence, I'm happy all the time. I'm not grumpy. I used to be, and I know a lot of corporate people say this, I was not feeling good on Sunday night when I was going to sleep, and I did not want to wake up on Monday mornings, and I don't have that anymore. I have that, okay, who am I going to help today? When that week starts, who can I help? Who can I influence? What can I change? And it's a pretty empowering feeling.
Yes. And so I I feel you on that. And for those of you who are listening, if you've got that Sunday evening, right around about 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, you start thinking, oh my God, I got to start getting ready for work Monday morning, and then the Monday morning blues.
Yeah, like, do I have a fever? Do I have a headache? My stomach kind of hurts.
See, I was better than that. I would tough out Monday and then wait till Tuesday because everybody called in sick on Monday. I was like, no. And then you can't call in. I'm not trying to don't listen to Whitney on that. I'm not trying to tell you how to game the system. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I love it. Sometimes I took Wednesday, I call it a mental health day.
Exactly. But then you have to take Thursday too, right? Because who's ever sick for just one day?
That's right.
Nobody. So you got to take two. Anyway, enough of the trying to tell you guys how to game the system. But I want to thank you, Teresa, for making time to come and talk with me, sharing your story, some of the lessons that you learned along the way. I don't think I've talked to anyone who is a farmer's daughter who really took the lessons of the farm as a financial lesson. And I love the little twist there, right? And your dad, smart dude, right?
Very.
And to say I never had to answer to anybody else.
Yes.
And then here you are.
Yeah, exactly.
That is really cool. So, and for you listening, it is not about necessarily starting your own business. It's just about finding something that resonates with you, something that touches your heart, something that makes you want to get up on Monday morning and Tuesday morning and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and maybe Saturday and Sunday, depending on what you do. Because there's some things that are not closed on the weekends, right? So whatever it is, find something that resonates with you, that you feel called and led to do. And if you are in business, however, and you are looking for a financial strategist, a business strategist, and coach to help you with that, I'm going to put Teresa's contact information in the post. Make yourself, call her, reach out to her if you could use her services. And Teresa, again, thank you so much for stopping by. Love your work, and we appreciate all that you had to offer.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful, Whitney. I appreciate being able to be a guest.
Oh, thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.